Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox with another episode. I'm absolutely thrilled today to have with me my good friend and colleague, Kristy Vandenberg. Kristy, first of all, go blue.
Yeah, I know. Big
Uh,
week.
Big week. But we're here to talk about one of your biggest passions, as well as one of the biggest passions of Rotary, and that's polio eradication.
Absolutely. What a audacious goal of eradicating polio in our lifetime.
It is perhaps even more poignant this year that we're having this conversation. We're recording this podcast in September of 2024.
Yeah.
Why is it even more poignant this year?
They just reported a case of wild polio virus in Gaza. And in polio, we're always talking about the fact that this affects children under the age of 5. From what I understand, it was a 10-month-old child and they are paralyzed. It'll be hard to come back from that.
As bad as that conflict is, they actually, both sides allowed the World Health Organization to come in and literally vaccinate every child in Gaza.
They did. I was reading at first, they said they were gonna have 200 teams. Latest information said they sent in 700 teams to vaccinate just under 700,000 kids.
Now let's turn to Rotary.
Yeah.
And what is Rotary's passion around polio eradication, and what's coming up that Rotary's doing and you and we are doing here in Kerrville?
I was gonna say, we're doing it together here. It's an interesting story about polio. Rotary is a volunteer organization, leaders within communities. And back when the numbers were out of control, we were seeing about 350,000 cases every year of polio. Someone in Rotary, up high in the organization, said, I think Rotary can do something. And they went to the leaders at that time and they said, hey, Rotary wants to get involved. And they basically were asked at that time, what can a nonprofit do with volunteers? And did not welcome us with open arms, which was a bit disconcerting for sure. So this individual actually went to Rotary International and said, I want a set number of dollars and I want to go down to, now I just lost the name of the country. Talking, I'll, I'll get it. We went down there and we used $3 million and just started vaccinating kids down there. It was the Polio's Part Plus Partners organization, and it was, there you go. We used 120 million in the, and we used originally 6 million kids got vaccinated in the Philippines. We did that. It was a 3-year project. They saw the rates of polio just drop in that country. And then we went back and said, hey, this is what Rotary can do. Make get us involved in this fight. And that's when we jumped in. We've been raising funds every year. In about the year 2000, the Gates Foundation jumped on board. We and said, "Hey, we're gonna match every dollar you raise 2 to 1." So we have a goal this year across the country in the US of $50 million, which will translate into $150 million of vaccines.
Christy, you and I are both old enough to know what polio is.
We are.
Our parents are or were old enough to have experienced it, even if they didn't have it
Mhm.
in their lifetimes growing up. But there are many people who I'm not sure understand the devastating nature of that disease. Could you just describe the impact and what it does to people?
It is a disease that attacks the nervous system and therefore can lead to complete paralysis, limbs that are deformed because they're not fully developed. I think a lot of us, at least you and I, when we were growing up, we would see the pictures of the kids scooting around on a cart because they couldn't use their legs. I remember seeing, and it brought it to mind today because I was doing my homework before I came, and they was a picture in the thing that I was looking at, and it was probably a 6-year-old, and he was in an iron lung. And again, we don't see iron lungs nowadays, but basically it was a machine that would breathe for us. It would move our respiratory muscles so that we could survive. I heard a great story and actually went to a talk by a guy they brought into San Antonio, and he had been in his iron lung for over 70 years. He had gone to school, he had graduated from college. He actually became a lawyer, believe it or not, at UT and practiced law. But for him to talk about what it was like back then when he was not the only guy in an iron lung, but it kept him alive. So our club here in Kerrville is committed to raising funds to fight this disease, to be part of the success of eradicating polio. And we are going to have an event on October 24th. We're going to be over at the Dietert Center this year. It's going to be a little different. We're going to serve dinner. And we actually just confirmed 2 speakers, one who is living here in Kerrville with polio, and we have a Rotarian whose mom had polio. So she's going to talk about that as she was growing up. We're going to sell tickets to it. We're looking for sponsors for the event. And we're going to come together and have some networking and fellowship, but at the same time, really talk about why it's so important to continue this fight. There's an estimate that if we stopped now doing the vaccinations, that within 5 years, we could again have as many as 200,000 cases. That just frightens me. We were down to 12 cases last year, and now we see a case in Gaza. I'm very excited that the powers that be, and as you said, both sides of this conflict saw that they would let healthcare workers in there to do these immunizations, get these kids the drops of that wonderful vaccine that will help them to stay healthy.
So the title of the event that you mentioned is called the Rotary Club of Kerrville Polio Plus event, Pints and Pies for Polio. I'm going to leave the pints to you, but could you tell us the pie part?
We have a number of good bakers in our club, and last year we actually did a dessert auction with pies. I think I remember you wanted to buy apple pie, or Dutch apple pie. That's my heritage. So there you go. So we're going to sell some pies there, and we're going to raise some money. We've got a musician from Schreiner University who's going to come and play music for us during dinner. And we're just going to, like I said, come together. We were talking, well, we will have a wine raffle with somewhere between 25 and 30 bottles of wine and raffle tickets that hopefully will be in just a great cooler. I'm working on that part. So there you go.
If some of our listeners wanted to find out information on pints and pies for polio, where could they go?
We have a website, the kerrvillerotary.org, but they can email me at kerrvillerotary@gmail.com. And I don't mind putting my phone number out there as well. It would be great. Some people, again, we're going to do this at the Dietert Center. And I think, as you said, people our age remember it. And I think that there's a lot of people in this country who don't remember it. They don't know that it's still active. The vaccine is so effective in minimizing the chances that someone's going to get this disease, and it's a virus. And I worry about it. I do think that it's a plane right away right now. We get someone into our country who has it, because you can be a carrier of it and not even know that you have it. And they expose other kids in our country who, for whatever reason, haven't been vaccinated. I worry about it being alive and well again here in the States.
I think I recall you saying last year that our club raised the most money of any club in our district. Is that correct?
We're in the South Central Texas district. There are 55 Rotary clubs around here. They go south to Beeville, west to Seguin. I'm sorry, east to Seguin, west to Del Rio, north to San Angelo. So all those clubs, and Kerrville is number one. We're pretty proud of that. We want to.
You've had a pretty robust Rotarian career.
I have.
Could you tell us a little bit about your career in Rotary?
When I was working with the Red Cross, and I was looking, I know what Red Cross does across the world. It's a wonderful thing. But I was looking for an organization here in Kerrville, and someone recommended that I come be a Rotarian. So I joined the Rotary Club, and I absolutely love this motto of service above self. Eventually, I became president of our club and then actually served the district as well. But the year that I was president, we've had these themes. And the year I was president, the theme was making a difference. And I've worked in the nonprofit sector my whole life. And when people say, why do you do that? I have been saying probably for 35, 40 years, because I want to make a difference. But they did that to me. They made that theme of my year. Of course, that's what I want to do. There are many times when something happens tragic in our world, whether it's a weather related thing or whether it's an attack of some sort, where I can't be there. I'm here in Kerrville. I can't be there. But the lovely part about this is I know that Rotarians are going to be there. I know that there's a club somewhere there that is going to step it up and do what it needs to do. And being part of that organization is just incredibly important to me.
Could you give us maybe one or two highlights of your Rotary career, whatever they may have been?
I think for me, the biggest thing is seeing the faces of the people we serve. There's nothing like putting together a project and having someone who is without be able to get what they need and do that. During COVID, there were a lot of families in our area that just needed a little extra help for whatever reason. And we did some additional food drives, and we did some additional, I know I went over and cleaned a garage one day because they had so many donations, but no one knew what they had because it wasn't organized. And it sounds like a little thing, but boy, to find out what was there, buried treasure, and to have people be able to come and get what they needed was really important. I love our Rise Against Hunger program, which is a meal packaging program. We're going to do that on September 21st, and just putting together packets of food for kids so that they'll have a lunch while they're at school is incredibly important. Plus, I've had the opportunity to go to Guatemala and do some stuff with Rotary funding there. We built a habitat house. We built latrines. I played with the kids. Now I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm not good at Spanish. There you go. But I'm trying because I want to go back and talk to the kids. I like that.
Kristy, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time for this episode, but I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to visit with us. And I hope our audience will plan to see us on Pints and Pies for Polio next month at the Dieter Center in Kerrville.
Yes, that would be lovely.